have been carrying a weight that no longer fits on your shoulders, and the exhaustion you feel is not physical. It's of the soul. Stop right now. What I'm about to tell you is not for everyone, but it is directed at you. There is something happening in your life, an underground movement you've been trying to ignore, but the signal is too clear to be hidden. You are at your limit, at the exact point of transition between human effort that is draining away and something new that needs to be born. You did not arrive at this moment by accident. I am here to put a name to what you have been feeling in silence. Throughout this conversation, you will recognize the 5 signs that have been showing up in your daily life and understand what they truly mean for your destiny. You will grasp why your dedication, which should have brought results, seems to have hit a locked door, and the truth about your current spiritual condition that no one around you can see. Before this moment ends, I will speak a declaration over your life that will serve as a turning point, because you were brought here for a purpose far greater than your current understanding allows you to see. You have noticed that your sleep has changed. You wake up in the middle of the night, often for no apparent reason, feeling an urgency in your spirit, as if something is waiting for you to get up and pay attention. You look at the people around you, at everyday conversations, and you feel a deep distance. What once seemed normal now sounds hollow, empty, lifeless. You live with a constant urgency, an anxiety that time is running out, that something fundamental is being left behind, even though you don't know exactly what it is. If each of these words is echoing inside you, if your chest tightened when you heard the recognition of this exhaustion that no one else sees, I want you to make a small mark. It is not just a number. It is your seal of agreement. It is your spirit saying that you are ready to stop fighting the current. Your hands typing these 3 numbers are the acknowledgement that you are no longer operating alone. Type 888 and return to me, because what comes next requires you to be present. What you are experiencing is not a punishment, it is a crisis of alignment. You have the right hunger, you have the legitimate desire, but you have been trying to satisfy that hunger on the wrong path. You are pouring immense energy into directions that no longer carry your anointing, trying to force doors that, in truth, should already be closed. Your effort has been heroic, but it has been an effort that lacks harvest because you are investing in soil that has already fulfilled its purpose in your life. That feeling that you are working harder than everyone else and still nothing blooms is the most accurate diagnosis of your current phase. You have built a lot, but you built with your hands, not with your spirit. You confused faithfulness with stubbornness. The truth is, you are trying to sustain a structure that can no longer hold the new frequency that wants to settle into you. Your routine of constant effort has become an armor that, instead of protecting you, is preventing you from receiving what is truly yours. You are exhausted from carrying the burden of a project that is no longer your destiny, and that is exactly why you feel on the verge of collapse. But what you call the end, I call a necessary preparation for the next level. It's not that your work has been in vain, it's that your work has reached the limit of what your human strength could accomplish. Now you need to learn the art of letting go of what needs to die, so that what wants to live can finally breathe through you. The structure you built up to now was only the foundation, not the house. What you are feeling is the pain of growth, the tension of a skin that has become too small for what you have become, and it takes courage to admit that your previous model of life no longer serves your new reality. Now imagine that your life is like a winter garden, a space where the ground seems hard and frost covers the seeds you planted with such dedication. You have looked at that soil and felt a deep sadness, fearing that nothing will ever sprout again, believing that the lack of fruit is a sign of neglect or failure. But the truth is, the garden is not dead. It is simply in a cycle of necessary silence. For years, you forced blooming in every season, demanding from yourself a productivity that did not respect the rhythms of the soul. You silenced your need for a pause, suffocated your call to rest, and treated your energy as if it were an inexhaustible resource. What was silenced in you was not your ability to accomplish, but your root. The root of who you are needs rest, needs a season of withdrawal where no harvest is demanded, only nourishment. You have been trying to harvest in a time of preparation, and that relentless attempt is what is draining your last drop of hope. That winter garden is not a sentence of barrenness. It is the sacred environment where the deepest roots deepen. If you try to force the sprout now, if you try to rush spring before the root is strengthened by rest, you will condemn the future that God is designing for you. The transition from pain to purpose happens exactly in the moment when you accept that you cannot give up now, because what you are living is not the end of your story, but the winter that precedes the greatest harvest you have ever seen. You cannot abandon your garden just when the frost is purifying the soil of everything that was superfluous, of all the external expectations you carried as if they were your own. Your pain is, in truth, the resistance of the ego to the new cycle that wants to settle in. If you give up now, you will miss the opportunity to see what blooms when you finally stop fighting the nature of your own destiny. It takes courage to be silent when the world demands noise. It takes courage to accept that your worth is not in what you produce, but in the person you become when you decide to align with a will greater than your own haste. Your purpose is being refined in the stillness of this moment. That act of declaring readiness is the seal you place on your own willingness to change phase. By typing these 3 words, you make a commitment with the part of you that was waiting for winter to pass. Type "I am ready" and then return to me, because we need to complete this crossing. While you make that choice, let your like be your wordless amen. It is not about metrics or numbers. It is about the silent recognition that what has been named here touched something you already knew, but could not translate. When you leave that gesture, you are only confirming that the message found the right place, that your spirit agrees with what time is trying to tell you. It is a silent yes, an invisible seal of agreement that resonates far beyond this conversation. The solution to what you're going through is not found in more strategies, nor in more effort, nor in trying to fix what broke with the same hands that kept it tense. The solution is the return. It is the return to the state of rest that you abandoned long ago, when you believed you had to sustain the weight of the world without the help of grace. You need to break your self-sufficiency, that iron pattern you forged yourself to protect from vulnerability. The return to rest is the practice of surrendering control of the planting. It is stopping to check the soil every hour to see if something has grown, and beginning to trust the process of the seed that rests beneath the earth. Being a chosen one does not mean carrying the weight of the world. It means being a witness that the world is carried by a hand that never grows tired. Your task now is simple, almost unbearable for your busy ego. The task is simply to be. It is to let go of control over your own life so that the greater authority can finally take the reins that you have usurped. Your rest is your greatest declaration of faith. It is proof that you believe there is an architect working while you sleep, a gardener tending to what you cannot see. When you stop being the sole responsible for your success, you become, at last, an open channel for abundance to flow without the blockage of your anxiety. Your self-sufficiency was a wall, and your rest is the door. Return to the center of your being, where the voice that called you still echoes, waiting for you to stop running so that finally you can hear the clear direction for your next steps. It is not about doing more. It is about being more faithful to the voice that inhabits your silence. Stillness is the place where your identity is restored and where the directions you seek become visible, not because of your effort, but because of your sensitivity to perceive the exact moment when spring begins to emerge. There is someone in your immediate circle, someone whose face just came to your mind, who desperately needs this message tonight. It is that person who has been working harder than everyone around them, but watches the doors remain closed day after day. It is that soul who has become silent in a depth that no one can explain, someone carrying a tiredness that is not physical but existential, an exhaustion that comes from trying to keep the world spinning with their own two hands. That someone is silently devoted, secretly seeking, and carries a posture of resilience that no one sees, because that person stopped asking for help long ago. Send this content to that person now. Do not do it as a casual recommendation, not as someone suggesting a video. Do it as a delivery. Deliver this word the same way it was delivered to you tonight, by naming and by a commitment you cannot ignore. If that person's image came up, it is because you are the channel through which help needs to reach them. Before we proceed to the closing, and so that the clarity we have reached today settles unshakably in your spirit, I want you to make one last declaration. Do not write it as a wish, nor as a hope that depends on future results. Write it as a confirmation of an identity that has already been formed. The contract that has been drawn between heaven and your listening throughout this conversation is a commitment you can no longer hide from. You are the chosen one to live what no one around you understands, and by typing these 4 words, you are signing the document of your own transition. Type slowly, feel the weight and authority of these words in your hands, and let your spirit align with the truth your finger has just confirmed. You are committed to a purpose that precedes your birth. You are commissioned to be the light that does not go out when the night grows densest. You are sent to inhabit the places where hope needs to be restarted through your simple presence. You got here because your exhaustion is no longer a problem to be solved, but rather the definitive proof that your limit was reached so that a new dimension could be accessed. Many times, what you call failure is actually the total depletion of a strategy that was never designed for your destiny. You have been trying to carry the weight of an entire world with the hands of one who was only called to hold their own light, and that discrepancy has created a friction that now consumes your vital energy. Stop for a moment. Breathe deeply, letting the oxygen travel through your chest, unraveling the knot that lodged in your throat. Do you feel that weight? It is not yours. It never was yours. You took it on out of loyalty to expectations that do not belong to you, and that is exactly the pattern we are going to break now, in the depth where your soul still keeps the ember alive. Throughout this journey, you will understand the anatomy of this exhaustion that haunts you. You will recognize the 5 signs that have been manifesting in your daily life, and understand why they are not symptoms of weakness, but rather coordinates of a map you have not yet learned to read. We are going to unmask the one trap that has been blocking the harvest you have sought for so long. And more than anything, we're going to establish a covenant with the truth that brought you to this moment, a truth that needs no explanation, only recognition. Stay with me, because every word here is a piece that fits into the puzzle of your current condition. Observe the signs that have been appearing. You wake up at 3 in the morning for no apparent reason, feeling an urgency to pray or simply to remain in vigil, as if something is waiting for you to open your eyes. Your conversations with old friends, which once flowed naturally, now sound like echoes in an empty hallway, full of noise and lacking substance. You feel sudden waves of emotion that have no visible trigger, a sadness that comes out of nowhere, or a joy that seems to come from a place you have not yet visited in this life. And those numbers, those sequences that appear on receipts, clocks, and phone screens, repeating themselves like an insistent reminder that you are not just observing reality, but are being observed by it. If even one of these signs touched your core, if your body reacted to this description with an involuntary surrender, I want you to take a necessary pause now. Type the number 888 in the comments. That gesture, as simple as it seems, is your signature on a permission contract for the flow that was stopped to start circulating again. The number 888 is the frequency of abundance that is not counted in coins, but in peace and clarity. By typing it, you are not just sending a message, you are affirming to your own spirit that you are ready for the overflow. Type 888. Then, with this new lightness on your shoulders, immediately return to my voice. What you are living is the manifestation of the right hunger on the wrong path. You have the right thirst, the thirst for meaning, for purpose, for genuine connection, but you have been quenching it at sources that dried up long ago. You pour yourself into projects that no longer carry your spiritual signature. You dedicate yourself to relationships that function as anchors on a ship that needs to sail, and you blame yourself for not getting the results that your effort, in theory, should guarantee. But effort is not the currency of your purpose. Surrender is. You are exhausted because you are trying to push a door that heaven has already left open, but you insist on banging it, believing that your merit comes from the force of the impact. Let us go a little deeper, down to the root of this condition. Now imagine a winter garden, an area of your soul that was left in forced rest. For a long time, you thought the silence in that garden was abandonment, that the absence of flowers was a sign that something in you had died. But in truth, that winter was a protection. It was the time your internal structure needed to stop producing fruits that would be picked by other hands, hands that would not honor the effort you put into the cultivation. What was silenced in you was not your voice, but your need for approval. What was put to sleep was not your potential, but your arrogance in believing that you were the only one responsible for making the sun rise over your life. This metaphor of the garden is the key that unlocks your reframe. If you can visualize that space, if you feel that the cold of that winter was actually what preserved the most precious seed of your essence for this very moment we are speaking, type the words, "I am ready." They are not just words, they are a declaration of readiness for the harvest that comes after the frost. By typing, "I am ready," you seal this revelation in your personal record and allow the inner gardener to resume the work. Type it now, and then immediately return to me, because the transition you are living is irreversible and demands your full presence. Now, look at your own life with the honesty of someone who has nothing left to lose, because in reality, you are gaining everything that is real. If anything in all that we have been building here confirmed what your intuition has been whispering in the dark, let your like be your wordless amen. Do not count it as an audience number. Do not think of it as feedback for a system. Think of it as a gesture of agreement, a seal placed on the truth that was named today. It is your silent yes to what is being built in you. The solution for what you have been going through does not lie in adding more tasks, nor in seeking new methods of spiritual productivity. The solution is the return. It is the return to the state of rest, where you understand that your worth is not something you build, but something you receive. It is to stop being the architect of your own luck and start being the steward of a plan that has already been drawn. You do not need to build the house. It is already standing. You just need to stop trying to knock down the walls with your shoulders and learn to open the door with a hand that has become gentle through faith. Your self-sufficiency has been the greatest obstacle between you and the provision that flows naturally to those who stop fighting the current. Look around you. There is someone carrying this exact same weight, someone working with admirable diligence, but who, deep down, feels like they are running on a treadmill going nowhere. Someone you know, whose face just crossed your mind like a lightning bolt. Someone with a soul weary from waiting for recognition that does not come from people. Maybe it is a friend, a family member, or someone you barely know, but whose silence sounds familiar to you. You are the bearer of this message to that person. Send this to them, not as someone recommending content, but as someone delivering a key. Do it like an urgent delivery. The person you saw in your mind needs this word right now, so they do not give up in the last minute before the turn. You have been desperately searching for proof that all this effort hasn't been for nothing, and this is where the maze becomes an altar. What you call failure is, in truth, a frequency adjustment that no one around you can perceive. They see your exhaustion, they see your stillness, but they cannot see the foundation being reinforced beneath the concrete of your life. When you feel like you are a thread away from giving up, from handing over the keys and leaving it all behind, it is because the old structure can no longer bear the weight of the new thing living inside you. That discomfort you feel, that sensation that the ground beneath your feet is shifting, is not a sign of collapse. It is the irrefutable evidence that you are being positioned for something that, until now, has only existed in your deepest field of vision. What is happening now is the end of the era of blind effort. You are being called into the era of clarity, and clarity always demands that the dust settles before you can see the path ahead. This is not the time to speed up your march. It is the time to quiet your step. The routine you carry with all its responsibilities has been your training ground, but you are no longer the recruit who needs to prove their worth through sweat. You are the chosen one, who now must learn to discern the season of harvest. If you still have doubts about this transition, about this calling that seems to have no echo in anyone else's voice, remember that the deepest transformations in nature happen in absolute silence. The seed makes no sound when it breaks through its shell. It simply fulfills its nature. You are fulfilling yours, even if the world demands from you a noise you no longer have the will to make. Take a deep breath. Let this reality settle into the center of your being, because what is being built in your life is not made of bricks or human ambitions. It is made of alignment with something far greater. At this very moment, in every corner of the world, other people are receiving this same revelation. You are part of a silent movement that does not need to announce its arrival, and it is precisely for this reason that your strength is real. What is happening here is not an isolated event. It is a collective awakening unfolding beneath the surface, in the deepest part of the soul of every person who has chosen to listen.